Hello everyone, welcome back to Career Talks with Cabinet, where real professionals share real insights. I am Janvi, and today I've been joined by a very special guest who has contributed majorly in companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and the list can go on and on and on. He is also an author, and he is an inspiration for many and also a mentor for the people coming and trying to be successful in the career forward. Hello, sir.
Good morning. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. A little tired with all the jet lag. Just came in from Seattle. Haven't had a full night's sleep yet. And other than, as I said, complaining about Delhi pollution, I'm doing perfect.
Okay. So for the viewers who might not know about you, can you please introduce yourself a little and tell us about your journey and what made you choose this career path for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, how long is the podcast? No, but I mean, the reason I said was because I can go on and on with my journey. It's been an interesting ride. No, this was my satirical, funny part of saying that this is going to be long.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine. I just cracked a joke here that nobody laughed at. That's totally fine too. That's okay. It happens a lot of times. I'm not a stand-up comedian, just a techie person here.
But you're very fun.
Okay, thank you. So I think in terms of who I am, I think you gave a nice introduction. That's my professional life, definitely. But most of my time now, I actually have been just committed to helping the next generation of students and entrepreneurs, and kind of giving back to feeling the privilege I got working at so many of these organizations. People who mentored me very selflessly over the years and helped me shape who I am. This is my way of actually thanking them. And typically, if you sit through one of my mentoring sessions, this is what I would tell you in the end as well, that when you are successful, just remember this day and find one person to give it back. Keep the chain going. And that really, really creates a very positive ecosystem of passing knowledge in a meaningful way. Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff in tech. You pretty much named all the companies. There are a few more I could have said. People would not even recognize or appreciate if I said I worked at digital. People are like, what digital? But all the four names you mentioned, perfect. I had a good run, spent about 35 years in the industry, building products, doing technical product management, advocacy, a whole bunch of things.
Coming to that, since you mentioned that you worked in product development, technical program management and all in various companies, what are some of the things, like how do you choose a path for yourself, or how do you choose which path to choose in different points of your life? How do you make that decision?
It's a very interesting question. I've reflected this a lot because, you're not probably the first person who's asking this question, and people look at my career path like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And honestly, many of these things, I would say, was a combination, partly luck, being right place at the right time. And part of that was me, just being adventurous with things. I'll give you an example. I have a background in accounting, right? Quite interestingly, many people get very surprised, especially in India. How did you get into like these tech companies? You're, an accounting graduate. And I had my passion for computers. I started building a lot of software for commercial use. And that got me a job in Dubai, working at a trading firm. And at the trading firm, I was doing good work, creating their financial accounting system. But I found that there was a conference happening. This is 93, 94 timeframe. And the conference was run by a company called Microsoft. Trust me, many people had not heard the name of Microsoft before Windows 95. And so I go at the conference, they give me a CD of Visual Basic and a CD of Windows for Workgroup. They were just giving out CDs to, try. I come and I start playing around with them, got very excited. As I said, I love new tech. And so I played around. I kind of started learning about Visual Basic. And then I always enjoyed writing. So I, sent an article to a magazine, and they published that in India. CNC was one of the magazines I wrote for. And I kind of forgot about that. Then I was in India, and then I get a call from somebody, and he's like, hey, I'm Hemant, and, I saw your article. Would you come and have lunch with me? And turns out, he invited me to the Microsoft office. And first thing was, he talked to me and said, are you interested in working at Microsoft? I was like, yeah, absolutely. But in honesty, I'm not an engineer. and I just had a very bad experience with another company who on my face said, we can't hire you because you're not a computer science guy. And I was very upfront with him. And he says, we don't care. You have to qualify, go through the interview. If you do, we'll hire you. And they hired me. And so, it happened. So it was not, I would say, I went looking for it. Same thing with Sun Microsystem as I moved. They were looking for somebody who understood a lot about desktop computing. Very few people in the industry in 96, 97 knew about desktop computing. And so my Microsoft skills helped me become Sun's favorite,
Okay.
And from there, it kind of was one thing leads to another. Again, I went to Australia. I had experience in Microsoft. I had experience in Java. Price Waterhouse was like, yeah, we need a candidate like this, who knows different technologies. So a lot of things happened, and Microsoft came. I was doing my master's there. They had a campus interview, went through like a massive group meeting, group discussions, written exams, the standard hiring, got through, and came back to Microsoft. So all these things have been quite interesting if I look back. But I attribute that to, and this is what I tell people is, you try new things. That is very, very, get out of your comfort zone, get excited about something. You may not see the results immediately, but sometime down the line, you'll see that that thing comes back and helps you. So create your own luck, that way.
Okay. So we as people face a lot of challenges in our lives, right? And we sometimes get overwhelmed, or we do not know how to tackle them. So what is one of the roadblocks you faced while working in the industry, and how did you manage to tackle that? How did you face it and fix it?
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, because in reality, right, not every path that you see is smooth, right? You may see a very smooth looking path on my resume, and I'll never talk about Google rejected me once, and yeah, they actually did, right? But that was not the setback, to be very honest. I mean, I've learned things much harder way. I can't specifically name some of the projects, but I presented a very interesting idea to my leadership, and this was in Microsoft, and I thought I was like the smartest person in the room. Very quickly, came up with a prototype, and I thought my product management team is going to just fall in love with me, and they blasted me in that meeting. It was very embarrassing, right? And the reality was, I did not understand the dynamics of how an organization works, right? I'm building something, who is it going to impact the most, right? I'm very enthusiastic, but not understanding the friction points, the supporters, or actually even going into a meeting with everybody knowing about what I'm doing, right? You never surprise people in a meeting. So that was a setback, and I reflected on a couple of things there, like my lack of understanding of an organization, jumping too fast to solve problems, and not getting good guidance. So what I did, one was a more tactical thing. I actually went to business school after that. I thought that's going to help. That was super useful. But for pretty much everything else, I figured out it's important to have a mentor in your personal and professional life, right? If you get a good mentor, they are the people, who can really help you out through those difficult situations. Because we may feel that our problem is so unique and nobody else has faced that. Trust me, when you go and talk to people, you'd be very surprised. So many people have faced something similar. They found interesting ways to solve that, and that's what a mentor would do, right? Mm-hmm. They'll help you kind of step back a little, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the problems that we have in our mind, we tend to amplify 10, 15 times. The reality is never that bad. And a good mentor would really help you get grounded and give you some constructive ideas on how to think. And that's, I think, something that everybody should do, and go out and seek people. Some companies like I worked for, they had official mentorship programs. So in the company, Microsoft had a proper product called MS Mentor. I could go pick mentors and see what are my gaps and weaknesses, whether I want better technical skills, or I want to build more sales skills, and find a person. And same thing in your personal life. Now, I agree, in personal life, it's not that easy. Like, you would not go about, sharing your personal problems with random people. But think about, your friends or somebody in your family or somebody that you can count on. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the best way I would feel, to get over issues.
Okay. So as students, we have a lot of content on YouTube nowadays present to us. What are 3 to 4 skills, technical and non-technical, which students should look into and students should explore and learn, which will help them get ahead in their life and career from now?
Yeah, I think the way things have changed in the last year or so itself, even when I look at, when I started talking about, my sessions, things have changed pretty dramatically in terms of what AI can do. And I don't think I also have a magic answer on from a technology perspective. Obviously, understand AI, and AI doesn't mean that you can use Chat GPT and you say I can use AI. That's a nursery elementary level skill to have. Get deep into that, right? The other thing that comes in very handy is if you start building some expertise in a domain, right? Some kind of a business function or any kind of something that makes you stand out from the others. That's important. Interpersonal skills as a soft skill is going to be extremely important, right? How you appeal to people, how you build relationships, how you understand, the dynamics of an organization, once you start working. Those skills would stay very, very valuable irrespective of how technology and other things are changing.
Okay. So we have an AI summit going on in Bennett University currently, and there are a lot of international delegates and local delegates present here for that. So what do you think? What opportunities does that give to students who get to interact with so many international people who have achieved so much in their life, right? And what are some of the edges they provide to the students, and how does it give us the advantage?
Yeah, when you have people from different places who you are coming and interacting, I think try and understand the challenges, limitations that they went through, right? Every place will offer something unique in terms of we had this issue, that this is how we overcome. Just because they are outside of India, not give them a free ticket making the most successful thing. So try and interact with them and ask and observe some of these things. What were their pain points, challenges? How did they overcome? Plus, every place has its unique advantage as well, right? India has deep technical expertise, right? I'm amazed at the caliber and quality of people that I interact with here. Every time in the many places I go to, it's our unique strength. So identify, what strengths they have. Sometimes they had a lot of resources, right? That is one thing that's changing quite a bit. When I came into tech, I literally used to hold a book, and read it in a bus, to prepare for exams and think, who does that? Like I got my Windows 95 certification by literally reading a physical book. That's the only thing we had. There were no CDs, there was nothing. Forget about YouTube, did not even exist. Today you have these opportunities. It's pretty level playing for almost everybody. So learn, what they are doing, what kind of ideas they are creating, what kind of problems they are solving, and see how you could translate them to something back home. There's always some kind of a correlation that you can establish and see, like if they have done something, what is something unique I can do for India. I'll tell you a very interesting example. I remember when Netflix started this DVD mailing service before they become like a virtual platform, and they had completely destroyed Blockbuster by just shipping CDs. It was groundbreaking. One of the startups in India wanted to do the same thing, only to find that all the CDs are getting lost. Hey, this is India, right? This is how things work. So they actually said, what we'll do is we'll actually send people to deliver and pick things back from your house. So you actually learn something interesting from a solution, and then you try and put it here. Same thing, I was very fascinated when somebody came up with this idea of bridal dress rentals, right? These things are expensive, but can we create something? And I had seen a lot of startups in Australia who were trying to do this with thrift clothing, but in India it was not thrift clothing, but it was proper bridal dresses, and you typically wear them once. And so get inspired by the things they are creating, and then see how they fit very logically into problems that you have in your region.
Okay, so we have a very quick rapid fire round. I'll ask you questions and you have to answer in one word or a sentence.
Okay.
Okay. If you weren't in this career path, what path would you have chosen?
That's very easy for me. I would have been a chef. I always wanted to be a chef. Being a chef in 1986 was not recognized very positively. Unfortunately, I wrote about this in my book as well. I had to choose an alternate path, otherwise I would have been a chef. I will still go to a culinary school. It's on my bucket list at some point and get that itch taken care of. But that's what you would have seen, a chef sitting here, not a techie.
Best of luck for
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
One online course you would recommend to all the students?
I think at this point, there's some good courses now on Coursera about AI. I don't know the exact name that I can remember top of my head, but pick something, that gets you to understand the latest technical things that are happening, especially given the fact that if you are a technical, student. And sorry, it was not a one word or one sentence answer, but slightly long.
Okay. Biggest myth about the technical industry which you would like to bust?
Oh my, I can't give out inside secrets. There's some good, funny things about, you see these cartoons where as a student, you're learning, calculus and quadratics and things. And when you go back and work at these big companies, the tool that you have is actually Excel. That's what you're working
nice.
on. But no, that's not a myth. I think a lot of people, think that these big companies, at least I've worked, are all fun and, always see people having fun. People put a lot of work, behind the scene, that goes into creating these amazing products. And, that comes with stress. It comes with, long hours and time that you spend. But, people just sometimes say, oh, you're in Google and all you see is, going out, eating this food and gaining weight and things like that. No, there's a lot that we do behind the scene as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great answer. So thank you so much
Thank you.
for agreeing to do this. You have been an inspiration. Personally speaking, I am very happy that I got to interact with you and share this insight with so many students, and it can help a lot of people. So thank you so much for taking out time to do this. I am honored to have you with me, and yes, thank you so much. If someone likes to reach out to you, where can they do that?
You can share my LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'll give it to you, put it on your YouTube channel, and people can connect and ping me if they have a question or something. I'm pretty responsive, given even irrespective of my travels. I will acknowledge every message that I receive. I have not been fortunate enough to get overwhelmed so far. I hope this does not create that. Like I have 1,000 people waiting for response, and I'm like, oh my God, how do I do that? But I will definitely circle back and help out, and I'll probably try and spend more time. As I said, if you want to have like a career talk session or something for your students, we can arrange for something quite easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know where to reach out to him. We will mention the LinkedIn profile.
Do that in the YouTube as a link is down below.
Description. You can check them out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got some real insights from this and you managed to gain some knowledge. Make sure to like, share and subscribe, and I'll meet you in the next episode.
Thank you.